you doing, Ted?
Hey, how are you? Sorry about all the confusion.
Yeah. Thank you for being on here. I
Sure,
appreciate it.
absolutely.
So the questions that I have is what made you inspired to do theater in the first place?
Well, I, uh, I became interested in performing when I was a young kid. I initially wanted to be a singer. I used to sing, and I started doing musicals in elementary school, and I found that I not only enjoyed uh, performing, but I had an aptitude for it. And so, really, that was it. I just started doing plays as a kid and realized that I really loved it, and I felt that I had something to contribute and enjoyed it, and it made me feel good. And so it continued from there.
Yeah. So did that made you inspired to do voice acting in the first place to get in the field, or?
I'll tell you what. I did not plan to be a voice actor. That happened uh, completely by chance. I met someone who was casting a show. It was called Record of Lodos War, which was from many years ago, and I met him completely by chance, and he liked the quality of my voice, and he had me audition, and I got the part, and that was the first time I did voiceover work, and so it was really by chance. I didn't um, aim for it. It just happened.
All right. One of the characters that inspired me for over the years is one the Yu-Gi-Oh series,
Mm-hmm.
Bakura, Chumley, Jack
Sure.
Atlas. It's how did you got in the process of doing the Yu-Gi-Oh stuff in the first place?
Well, Yu-Gi-Oh was done by a company called Four Kids, which was the company that had done Pokemon and a couple of other shows. And I knew, excuse me, I knew that company because I had done voices for them on Pokemon and a couple of other shows. And so I was kind of in the mix, as were a lot of the other guys on Yu-Gi-Oh, like Dan Green and Wayne Grayson and Greg Abbey. And so being kind of in the mix of voice actors there, they had me in for an audition. So really, Yu-Gi-Oh, the original, was the first one that I did. And basically, ever since, anytime there has been a spin-off, uh, they've had those original actors plus some new people in to audition. So I've auditioned for each of the shows that they've had on. I might not have auditioned for the last one though. I think I might have been busy, but I remember auditioning for the original, and then when they did 5Ds, it was a different one, and then GX was Chumley. So yeah, it was I was in the talent pool there. Yeah.
Yeah. And how do you enjoy writing the Sonic X and Kirby Right Back at You stuff?
Well, that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed writing and adapting scripts. I still do it, although not Four Kids is no longer. But it was a skill that I developed and one that I really enjoyed. In particular, I liked writing for Kirby because Kirby there was more of a comedic aspect to the show that Sonic didn't always have. Sometimes, but certainly Yu-Gi-Oh was Kirby was a funnier show. So I really enjoyed writing for that show a lot. It was really good fun.
All right. And then it's like the way how you did Giovanni too from Pokemon. They just hand it to you or something like that.
Well, what happens a lot when we audition for the shows, it's always a mixture of different things that give us an idea of who the character is. And, you go in and they'll show you an image of the character from the original animation. Sometimes they'll play you the original Japanese voice, which sometimes helps. often hinders because sometimes they're aiming for a thing that is completely different from the Japanese voice. And so that really doesn't help you much. Unless what they're asking you to do is something like this. So if they'll play you the voice, you get a little idea from what they're doing in the Japanese, even though I don't speak the language, but you can pick up on the energy of the voice. And then also just looking at the copy and the script and what the character says. And they'll also give you a description. So for Giovanni, it was that, I knew that Team Rocket were the bad guys on the show, the kind of comical bad guy team, but that Giovanni was more serious and that he was the real head of Team Rocket. And he was always seen, very kind of in the shadows, and he always had his little Meowth cat with him and petting it. And so I knew from the image I saw of Giovanni that he was kind of a shadowy, dark, no-nonsense character. So I looked at that and I said, okay, we'll try this,
Yeah, and I know you also did Tracy too in Pokemon, so.
Yep, that was, I think he was on, I'm not sure what season it was, but it was only for about a year or so. I think he was a character.
Islands, I think.
I think so, yes. And I don't know that he might have been a character that didn't catch on in Japan, and that's why he was only on there for a season. But that was fun. It was fun to just kind of do this really super enthusiastic young kid, and he's got his little group of fans there. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then I know you also did James for a few episodes as well.
I did. I was James. I think I want to say the first 6 or 7 episodes of the series I was James, and then I left to do a play because, had I known that Pokemon was going to get as big as it did, I might not have done that. But none of us knew that it was going to be the phenomenon that it turned out to be, and so I left to do a play, which at the time was more important to me, and so I lost the one of the classic roles on Pokemon. So. But it's pretty cool that I'm, there in the first part of the series there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What inspired me the most as well as a kid was you doing Escargoon and King DDD and Kirby right back at you. So
that was fun. That was a lot of fun to do. I particularly love Escargoon because that was the funniest character that I've done. It's the most fun to do as a voice, and he just was great fun to do.
It was that accent that just inspired me. So
well, it was actually based on you're a fairly young man, so you won't know this, but in the 60s and 70s there was an actor named Paul Lynde who was very well known and did all kinds of television shows, guest appearances, and he was extremely funny. He's very sardonic and sarcastic, extremely funny, very flamboyant, and just laugh out loud funny. And he was the guy that I happened to be able to do an impression of him, and the director asked if I had an impression of him, and I did. So it was really the director's idea, and then I was able to do it. So yeah, that's where I got that voice. But it's actually based on an actor named Paul Lynde, who was a big television presence back in the day.
Mm-hmm. And then it was also like Jack Atlas. I heard he was inspired by Australian, if that's correct.
Jack Atlas, when I first auditioned for Jack, they asked if I could do an Australian dialect, which I did. And then when I got the part, they said, okay, can you do Australian but tone it down a little bit? Which I did. And but I have to say that when I toned it down, it didn't sound like anything really at all. It's a weird amalgamation of Australian, British, not either of those. It's a weird thing. It's a Jack Atlas dialect, is what I call it.
Yeah, and it's just like as well. It's like how you got the also you did Bandit Keith for a little bit as well.
I did. That was fun. That was early on in Yu-Gi-Oh! I think, gosh, I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether Bandit Keith came even before Bakura or was it the same time. I don't remember, but
It was like the
I
first
do.
season.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, so it was a while ago, but yeah, I remember getting Bandit Keith, and he was this kind of cocky, you know, guy, but people still remember him, and that was a long time ago. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then also know you did a little bit of the president from Sonic X, and
Oh gosh, yeah, I was in the President Sonic X.
Nelson
Probably did a couple
Fordyke,
of other small
the
roles here.
dad,
What's that?
the dad
What's
Nelson
that?
Fordyke.
Oh yes, that's right. Yes. Okay. See, you remember all this stuff. There's so many things that I did that I forgot some of the small roles. But yes, I did a couple of small roles on Sonic while I was, but mostly worked as a writer for it, basically.
Yeah.
So
It
yeah,
was those
yeah,
small roles that actually
yeah.
inspired
They
me.
made
So,
their little impression for what they were.
hmm
It was fun. That was a cute little show.
yeah, and then another thing is too, the work that you did with Jack. Do you play off with Greg or do you play off with Erica or?
It always depends on who has been in the booth and laid down their track first. Because sometimes I would go in and I would be the first to work on that particular episode. So I wouldn't have anyone to work off of. And sometimes I would go in and there would be other characters voiced that I could work off of in the scene. But, either way, I think because we knew each other's voices pretty well, we knew the style pretty well, and the script was right in front of us. And the director always tells you, okay, at this point in the script, this is what's happening. So we get enough of a sense of what is going on at that particular moment so that even if another actor hasn't dubbed before us, we can we know what we're going to eventually be a part of, and we kind of fit into that. And then when they come in, our voice is there. And so, yeah, it always depends.
Because when I asked Greg this question a few days ago, when I was working at Wayne's panel,
Oh,
because
sure.
Greg was there,
Sure.
I was like, he was like, yeah, I do play off with Ted here and there, so that's why I asked.
Yeah, it just depends because sometimes I will have recorded before him, or sometimes he'll record before me, and I'll get him to work off of. So it really depends,
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's just like, as well with the the original Yu-Gi-Oh fan base. I know everyone loved working off with Bakura,
hmm
and that way that he has like this evil dark tone accent. It's just like
Yeah.
about to like dominate the world. Like, all right, I'm about
Yeah.
to do this. I'm about to do this. I'm about to do this, and it's just
Yeah. It's always fun. Even when I've done shows where I'm not the main evil villain, it's always fun to hear that in your having been recorded before, because it's great to work off of that kind of energy. So it's fun to kind of listen and know where to fit yourself in, what energy you need to match that. So that's always an interesting thing.
Mhm. And it's just like with Chun-Li as well. Did you played anything off with the others, or do you just
Well,
focus on Chun-Li with the accent, or?
the accent, that's something that we come up with usually in the audition, and then if we get the part, then we make adjustments here and there. But the accent and the voice and the energy is there in your playing. So it always depends on what the situation of the scene is, what the other characters are saying, and then you kind of work from there. But the energy and the voice of the character are there from the beginning regardless, and then you kind of go and you do your work using
Because I know he's
those
just
tools.
like this chill, cool dude that's just like malicious, obsessed with grilled cheese. Just remember that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because they had a lot of moments there where it was them kind of hanging out in their dorm. I remember that. That was a while ago. I don't remember much about GX or Chumley. I was asked by a fan to do a Chumley accent voice recently, and he played me a little bit of a Chumley episode, and I said, okay, that because I really didn't even remember what the voice sounded like. It was that long ago.
It was like 2005. So
I was gonna say probably early 2000s. Yeah, it was a while ago. Time passes.
like a year after season 5 of the original show.
Aha. Okay. Yeah. I remember it was still early 2000s. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, going towards mid, and then the 5Ds was like mid, not late 2000s to the early 2010s.
That's right. Yes, that was the last one that I worked on. So
Because
yeah.
I know the bought out happened around 2014.
Okay. Sure. Okay. Yeah, it was all we did a lot of those shows around that time period there. That was kind of the 4Kids golden age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even your work on Slayers a little bit too.
I did. But gosh, I think the characters. I want to say the character's name was Zangulis. I cannot remember. I mean, it was so long ago, and I did so many different projects that sometimes I don't even remember who I played or what the voice was at all, or even what the plots were. So, but I do know that I did work on that one for a bit around that time.
And then I know you were also in the new Red Dead Redemption 2 for a little bit.
Oh yeah, I had a very small role of a guy who I want to say it's a guy who worked in it might have been a bank office. I think I was working in an office, or wherever I was. There was a safe that had some money in it, and the guy came in and kind of threw me around the room, and then threatened me and told me to get money out of a safe. I think that's what it was. So it was just a one scene thing, but it was fun.
Yeah, and then you're working TMNT as well.
Oh yes, yeah. The Ultimate Ninja. I remember being in the booth with Greg and Wayne, and doing maybe a handful of episodes as Ultimate Ninja. But that's another fun one. And I was different because, in terms of working off of the people, they animated that to our voices. That was one where the animation did not exist before we dubbed. So that was one where we actually were in the booth at the same time playing off of each other. So that was what was unique about that experience.
Yeah. And also your work in Cubics as well. I remember that. So.
Cubics. And I cannot remember what I played on that one. What was the role that I played?
You did like an additional voice or something.
Probably. I probably did a lot of small voices here and there for certain shows. They would ask you to come in and do something, and then they'd say, could you fill this in, and whatever. So yeah, I think I probably did one or two lines or something like that on that one, but nothing terribly memorable.
And it's just like another thing I remember is you did Gengar a little bit too.
Yes, when Pokemon first started, I did three different Pokemons early on. And I remember they were around the same period of episodes. And it was Gengar, Haunter, and was it Snorlax early on? I did Snorlax at some point, but I know it was Gengar and Haunter were the first ones that I did as Pokemons. I didn't do many Pokemons. But I do remember doing those early on in the series. Yeah.
I think that's like way in the beginning. So.
Oh, very, very much so. Yes. Yep. I was still doing James at that time.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost that time to wrap it up too.
Yeah.
And I just, real quick, I just want to say, like, did you got like anything from the staff members, like, as of the years?
What do you mean, anything from the staff members?
Like,
what exactly do you mean?
like, would they give you things, the stuff that you work on?
Oh, you mean like copies on DVD and things like that?
Yeah, like stuff like on projects that you worked on. Like, this is what you did. Do you get this?
Oh, you know what? We didn't. They didn't give it to us, automatically. But there were times where we could say to them, could I have a copy of the DVD for a couple of episodes, or a poster, or this, that, whatever. And they'd be very sweet about it and give us, that kind of thing. But I don't really have a lot of that stuff. Of course, I've moved. It's been a long time. I've moved apartments, and there's stuff that I keep and stuff that I don't. But a lot of stuff too that if I ever wanted a copy of it, I could probably buy it. So yeah, they didn't give us too much stuff, but that's all right.
All right, Ted. I just want to say thank you for
Absolutely.
this wonderful thing. You inspired my childhood a lot. With because I'm part of the LGBT community.
Oh, great.
I'm gay, so and you
Yeah.
had a hard time getting bullied in high school and stuff. So
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I understand that.
so your characters actually inspire me to keep on motivated and
absolutely
be the toughness is what I am, because
yes,
Jack has like that toughness, so I just based it keep on motivating.
Yeah, and don't let the bullying make you a bully. Be better than they are, and treat people with kindness, and you'll have a much better time in life, I think.
All right, Ted.
All right.
Stay safe.
And you as well.
Have a nice day, and
you too,
for
DJ.
this wonderful talk. I appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
Thank you. Okay,
right.
take care now.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.